Well, welcome back. You know, it is an election year, and our primary election held just a few days ago, and the general election, of course, is coming up in less than 3 months. Everyone knows that. It's on the really in the thought process of so many people right now. Kids are seeing the ads and they're hearing adult conversations about politics, but do they really understand why it's important to vote and when, of course, when they turn 18? That's the topic of this week's Mom Enough podcast. What a great topic to talk about and something to really dive into in your home with your family. Dr. Marty Erickson's here to talk about how parents can raise kids to be good citizens. And one of the ways you can be there's many ways to be a good citizen, but one of the ways is to vote.
Voting is basic, and you know, a lot of people don't. But this starts early, you know, even in early childhood. You need to start talking about these things and introduce kids to the idea of democracy and how we all have a voice, but we have to use it if we want democracy to survive.
Yeah, and it's such a contentious,
teens, you know, it's huge.
Right.
Huge.
And it's such a contentious time. I mean, it's sad that that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so it is really, you know, it's in the fabric of community. People are talking about it.
Yeah.
People are very upset about certain things that are going on. So you really have to talk through a number of these things at your house, I imagine.
You do. And you know what's so important, if you look at research on civic behavior and citizenship, so much of it really does start in the family, and we have to take that power as parents and grandparents in my case, because what you do at home, the way you handle civics, it's called, really is what affects whether your child will be an active, engaged citizen and will vote regularly.
Yeah, we'll understand how important it is to take that, and that is our right that we, you know, in this country have, so we should take advantage of that. Okay, so you have a couple of tips. Read to young children about public leaders, past and present, and visit state or local government offices and meet public officials. Go to the Capitol, you know, go to those places and show them these buildings and what happens in those buildings.
Yeah, and you can talk to people. I know my grandson who just voted for the first time in the primary election. He was so excited. He went and talked to a state legislator, our state legislator, about some issues that he was concerned about. And you know, that young man who's our legislator was just so responsive, and those kinds of things really make a difference. And a lot of times we think about politicians in a very negative way. We have so many stereotypes, but many of those politicians really went into this because they wanted to be public servants, and there are a lot of those people I've worked with in my life and my career. So
I know.
Let the kids see it.
It always takes a couple of, you know, bad seeds, and then you think the whole thing is bad, and that's not always the case. That in fact, it usually isn't. Show kids examples of how political decisions affect places in their lives.
Exactly. Go to their park and rec center, your park and rec center. Look at their school. You know, who makes the decisions about the funding, who maintains these things, and who helps expand opportunities for children from all socioeconomic backgrounds.
Yeah, where does the money come from? You think this
process?
Isn't free. This is something that our taxpayers, our tax dollars pay for this. That's
exactly.
Very good point.
Yeah.
For teens, teach them how to register to vote and where and how to vote in both primaries and general elections, how to get absentee ballots if they have to, or vote early if they're going to be away.
Right, and many, many young people don't know that. In fact, a professor who studies this and who wrote a book that's the focus of our podcast this week, she talked about how only about 25% of teenagers report having political conversations with their parents, number one, and very few young people, these are mostly college freshmen she was talking about, do not know these basic processes. They don't really even know how the system works. And the schools are not teaching it well enough. They teach it too late, too little. And so it really does fall on parents.
To teach and to show them how to do it.
And then we have to know to be able to teach it.
So that's what your podcast, it's already up. You can really listen. And there's a brand new author that was who you interviewed, right?
Yes. Just a terrific book called How to Raise a Citizen and Why We Need to Be the Ones to Do It.
I like that.
It's packed with information. We just skimmed the surface today, but check out the podcast.
The podcast will really dive in, and also the book just got released. So if you want to grab the book as well, you'll have all the information.
Right.
Okay, there's the book right there. And of course, the Mom Enough podcast is already live, so you can watch it or listen to it, of course. And new episodes are released every Monday, but of course, we release them on Saturdays when you're on the show, so we appreciate that.
And Lindsay Cormack is the name of the author, I should say that.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you.